Yo, everybody, just wanted to give you a heads up before the episode starts. We had to record this one a little bit different. We had to do it online through StreamYard. We didn't realize until afterwards that my microphone did not record my voice. Instead, it was picked up by the computer microphone. So we did our best in post to make it sound as best as possible, but my apologies for the quality of my voice. Hope you enjoy the show.
People who say that lightning don't strike in the same place twice, never met you.
From Ghost Laboratories, you are listening to the Featured Presentation Podcast, where I interview the featured artists on my newest song. Who am I, you might ask? Well, I'm singer, songwriter, rapper, producer, Zup from Cleveland, Ohio. I've been in the Cleveland music scene for what feels like forever, and my most recent album, For Me, won Scene Magazine's Best Local Album of 2023. But enough about me. Today we are going to talk about my new song. The song is actually a remix of sorts of a song from my For Me album. The song is called Lightningrod, and it features two of these incredibly talented musicians joining me today. Make some noise for Shrub. What's happening, Shrub?
How you guys doing?
And make some noise for Mellodose, man. How you doing?
Doing great, brothers. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you guys so much for taking time out of your very busy schedules to join me to just talk some music, man. I appreciate it.
Likewise.
I appreciate you, 100%.
Appreciate you guys even doing the song and everything. We'll get into that. So before we do, for the people that might not know you, Shrub, we'll start with you. Fill them in. Let them know a little bit about you, the Shrub love.
Yeah, so I'm a Columbus, Ohio-based artist. I've been performing and creating music since around 2005. Started out in my basement, and then in 2009 put out my first album and started touring after that. I love reggae music. I love hip hop, and I really like rock music and other variations of all three of those. Grew up listening to Sublime and felt inspired to create my own project, and toured extensively for around 10, 12 years. And then now I'm just make a lot of music at home here in Columbus, Ohio, and try to put out good music.
Well, you do. You absolutely do.
Yeah. Not always. Yeah, you should hear the stuff I haven't put out. Woo! It's a little rough.
And Mellodose, why don't you let people know about you as well?
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Brett. Thanks for, introducing me to Brett and Jay. I started Mellodose about 4 years ago. I'm based in Nashville, Tennessee. I used to tour in a band that toured with Jay's band. That band was called Roots of a Rebellion. I played guitar in that band for like 9 years. At the conclusion of that band, I started Mellodose right after. And it's heavily focused, like in the reggae rock world, but like Jay and like yourself, Brett, I'm influenced by so many other things, including hip hop and rock music and just indie music in general. And so Mellodose is like very kaleidoscope-esque, especially when it comes to vocalists, and this tune is a great example, as we'll get into. If you hit shuffle on the Mellodose catalog, you could hear one of 27 different singers, rappers. So it's very much a collective. Mellodose is not like just me. The project is ever growing and the collaborators are ever growing, and it's very much about like a community of co-creators. And I get the most energy from making music with other people versus making it on my own.
I love that.
I loved being a band, loved playing on stage. I loved the in the moment improvisation that would occur between musicians. Even if it's like a song you play a million times, there's always like these little nuances. And so I very much crave that collaborative energy and spirit in music making. And that's kind of like, the mission for Mellodose is to make music with as many friends and people who inspire me as possible.
I love it. And I was just going to say, like, anytime you put out a new song, I'm always like, oh, who's going to be on this one? You know what I mean? Like, how is this going to sound compared to the one last week, which a little segue into what I'm about to say. You guys are both on this ridiculously awesome release schedule. Like, Jay, I feel like you've been releasing something like once a month. There's been like a few since we started talking and everything. And then Marco, you're like, we were just joking off air, like one song a day, pretty much. I know you're like a weekly schedule or whatever. I think that's such a great cadence, because that's kind of what I'm trying to get into now. Like once every 2 months or whatever, you know, I'm just starting small. But like, what made you, Marco, want to get into doing that kind of like release schedule?
I don't think it was really a conscious decision initially. I think what happened was I had a lot of friends from the years of touring in the reggae rock like community niche, and as soon as I started putting out songs and like reaching out to like close friends of mine and just saying, hey, I'm doing production, like I just want to write, I want to, you know, produce together, whatever, in whatever capacity that looks like, whether I'm singing or not singing, like I just want to make music with other people. And as I did that, I just started collecting a lot of finished songs, and just, you know, it just started stockpiling. So I was like, I have to release super frequently.
Right.
Because if I did one a month, you know, like it could be multiples of years before a song that we finished ever sees a light of day, for if everyone's in like a rotation, you know what I mean?
Right. How about you, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, for me, you know, Marcos has been an inspiration to me in a lot of ways of just like finding my creative self again, just because I see how, you know, how hard he works at creating and how easy it seems on the surface to create. Wow, I know there's songs coming out, but the reality is the quality of the songs that he's putting out are amazing. Like I joke around. I mean, I made a post on a joke on one of his posts the other day where I'm like, hey, if you keep putting out such great music, I'm going to run out of space on my playlist, you know, because like I just keep adding Mellodose tunes because they're just such high quality, and I love it. But
Thanks,
when Marco and I worked together, yeah, of course, when Marco and I worked together on Herbivore, Still Smoking with Brandon from Bumpin' Uglies, myself and Mellodose, we were working on that. We spent a lot of time together just talking. And, you know, he really inspired me and, you know, really just motivated me to keep creating, you know, don't give up on what I was doing. Cause when I was touring, you know, it's hard to create music when you're touring cause you're busy, but when you're not touring, I mean, you got a lot of time sitting around to create. And I was just kind of twiddling my thumbs the whole time. And, you know, yes, I was putting out music here and there, but now I just feel really inspired. So, you know, thanks again, Mellodose, for that. And, you know, I'm trying to do like once a month, maybe once every 2 months. I got another song coming out a month after this song, Lightningrod, The Second Strike, drops. And then I have some other ones that are sort of in the works, but I'm going to keep pumping out music because it's really fun. And I wanted to get back to that. I want to just have fun making music again. And which is why we're all together, right? Because I mean, this has been a fun project. So yeah,
absolutely.
That's where I've been. So
that makes me think, like, do you have any unreleased songs, Shrub, that you might be sitting on?
That's what I was wondering too.
Okay, so in 2005, I started Shrub. Well, at the time it was called Invented the Word Tight was the name of the project. It's a horrible name.
The whole thing is Invented the Word Tight.
Yes, that was the name of the project.
Columbus, we are invented the word tight.
Yes, correct.
That's amazing.
I like it.
Well, the reason why is because I worked with this dude named Jamie, and he swore that he created and coined the phrase tight. So like, if you say, yo, man, that's tight, you know, he said he's the first person that ever said that.
He gets royalties every time. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's that drink when you mix like a Red Bull and something else? There's some drink. I don't remember right now. I don't drink, so I don't really know, but there's some sort of drink where you mix Red Bull with something. He's like, I invented that too. And like, he would just make fun of him. So I nicknamed him Skyscraper because he has so many stories, but anyway, he said he invented the word tight. So when I was in my basement making music, I was inventing the word tight, and then started saying it to my friends. And then it became Rastatari. That was the name of the project. And if you've seen I got a little logo on my shirt, actually, my record company, Rastatari Records, but that was like the logo, and it was like on MySpace, and it started picking up steam. And I'm like, you know, my nickname in college was Shrub. I was Little Shrub, and my brother was Big Shrub because our last name sounds like the word shrubbery. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to be Shrub. And I called my brother. I'm like, I'm going to steal Shrub. I'm going to take Shrub from you. I'm not Little Shrub. I'm Shrub. He's like, yeah, go for it. So, but I made all kinds of music. And when I sent it to my friends, I called it Just Jay, actually. So like all my friends call it Just Jay because it was just me in my studio in my basement. But I probably have maybe 30 songs that
Nice.
haven't seen the light, and some of them are so bad, and they're just maybe just a hook or maybe a verse or two. They're not even completed, but there are a lot of ideas, and a lot of the Shrub music you hear. You can go back and find the original from 2005 and be like, wait a minute, that is the chorus from like Go Run, Go Tell All the People. That it's a song on our High Ceratops album. I'm like, yeah, but have you ever heard the Tropidelic Shrub Go Run, Go Tell the People that never came out? Because there's a version with Tropidelic as well. So like there's so much stuff that I've been sitting on that just hasn't never seen the light of day. But new music, yeah, I probably have maybe like 5 or 6 songs that are really close to being done. It's just a matter of spending the time to finish them. And I will. That's been a motivation of mine. So yeah, it's I think every artist probably is like this.
Yes.
One time I was hanging out with Opie Ortiz, who did like Sublime's 40 Ounces to Freedom artwork, and he did my first album called Senorita. He did the album art for that. And I was hanging out with him, and I was telling him about making music, and I just finished Senorita, and he had just finished the album artwork. And he's like, well, this is 6 songs. How many other songs do you have? I'm like, I don't know. I got like 30 other songs. He's like, put the music out. He's like, what are you waiting on? He's like, just keep releasing new content. And this is back in 2009 or 2010, whatever.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And I'm still sitting on it. So maybe I'll have a Just Jay invented the word tight, Rastatari, whatever it's called, Little Shrub. I don't know. Maybe I'll have like an old school unreleased album come out that is embarrassing, but it's also probably like nostalgic for some of my buddies.
Yeah.
I'll put it out someday. It's cool though. I kind of dig it. I'd call it electro hip hop reggae. That's what I would call it. That's the genre. So yeah, maybe I'll drop it someday.
I love inventing genres, like I just feel like more so nowadays, there's a lot of people that are not afraid to experiment with different genres and join them together. That's always been my thing. I just love that because, if you enjoy music and you listen to different things as a musician, you do obviously, like you were saying earlier, like pulling influence from each genres. And I like to just kind of like throw it out there. Like, yeah, no, this might not make sense. Like I remember like going to the studio and like telling my engineer, Brad, like, bear with me here. This is not going to make any sense, but I promise it will at the end, And it's always like at the end, he's like, okay, yeah, because I have like crazy ideas. I send to my buddy Greg. He's like, okay, whatever. Let me see what it looks like. You're telling me I can't see the vision, but it's I love that. I love just mixing genres and everything.
Yeah, I think if you're working with like a steady cast of creators, regardless of what genre a song falls under, if you're consistently working either in your own production workflow or if you're working with the same like 2-3 guys to build the instrumentals every time, like your overall energy and vibe and like audio aesthetic as an artist is going to come through regardless if it's a solo acoustic vocal tune or if it's a boom bap hip hop track, like, or if it's a straight reggae tune, like your overall style, like, that you cultivate through working with the same people over and over, like always comes through regardless of like the genre letterhead,
For sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's get into this song that brought us all together. Lightning Rod's Second Strike. Yeah. What a sweet journey this has been. So I guess I'll start from the beginning. So for the people that don't know, this is a remix of sorts to a song from my album For Me, and the song is called Lightning Rod. So the album came out in March of 2023, and I had some songs out or whatever. So like, let's go back a little bit. So I was making music back in the day. I took about a 10-year break, and with that, it was also an escape from everything. So not just music. So I wasn't really listening to new music, but I wasn't on social media at all either, right? So around that time, I had heard of Shrub through like Tropidelic, that song that you did with Trop that was on the High Ceratops album, right? That's on that one?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's how I knew about you, but then I wasn't on social media, right? So fast forward till like last year, and talking to my DJ RC3, and he loves reggae, like loves it. And he sent me a song from the High Ceratops album. I was like, oh shit, that's right, Shrub, you know? So I went and looked you up on Instagram, found you on Instagram, followed you or whatever. And then like not too long afterwards, you followed me back. And I was like shocked because I'm like, why would this dude want to follow me back or whatever, you know? Because at that time I was just putting an album out. It's been 10 years, like I said. So anyways, then it's funny. So like for people also who don't know, I'm going to say that loud. I'm sorry. If you're an artist and you have music on Spotify, you get access to the artist app for Spotify. And you can see like all the analytics, how many people are listening, how many people are streaming. You can also see like playlists that you've been added to. And I remember the one day I just popped up and I saw it was like SoCal Surfer Vibes or something was the playlist that you added, and you Shrub added lightningrod to it. And I was like, what? And I swear it was probably the same day I went on Instagram and I had a message from you about the song. So like what was happening with you during this whole thing? Because that was my perspective, because I'm like, what is going on? This is kind of escalating. You know what I mean? For me, just my buddy sending me the song and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to follow him. And then, you know. Yeah,
now we're buddies on
right, yeah.
Already. Listen, at the end of the day, you know, when people follow me or people comment on posts or whatever, and I see that there are other musicians, I always check them out. You know, it's almost like a courtesy to other musicians to like see what else is out there. And it's, you know, we're all like a family, you know, and when I saw what that you had a new album that came out, when I saw that, I was like, okay, Zup, I've never heard of that, but I like your name because it sort of reminded me of Shrub. It's like a very concise word. It's one syllable. It sort of rhymes with Shrubs up, Shrub, almost like there's just some, yeah, they kind of look similar to each other. So it like stuck out to me. And, you know, I haven't met many people with the name Zup, like it's Zup. And I liked it. I liked your little artwork with the crown. And I was like, okay, you know, what is this? And I saw you were from Cleveland and saw you had this new album out. So I started checking out the songs. You know, I went to Spotify, looked at track number 1, 2, just went through it. And when I heard Lightningrod, I don't know. I'm like, I'm sort of like, you know, like when you're in high school and you hear a song for the first time that you love and you just put it on repeat and then you listen to it again and then you listen to it again and then you listen to it again. I'm in my car rolling around smoking and I'm just listening to Lightningrod over and over and over again. And I'm blown away. I'm like, holy shit, this guy writes amazing music. First of all, lyrics were incredible. Your voice was just top notch. The production was top notch. And, you know, and I'm looking at your number of plays at the time and I'm like, man, I can't wait for people to hear this because it's such a great song. And I just wanted more people to hear it. So, you know, that's of course why it's my playlist. I'm really into playlist curation too. And like, I have a playlist called Cali Reggae and I'm like super into it, as Mellodose knows, because half his catalog's on it. But, you know, I just fell in love with the song. And then I started checking your social media out and just like learning who you were as a person. And you had just followed me. And I just wanted to reach out and just tell you how amazing that song was, because I think every artist at every level needs to hear from other artists who appreciate them. It feels good. I know I do. When I hear from other artists, when Mellodose hits me up and says, man, what a great new release. Or Brett, when you like one of my new releases and say, oh man, this is fire. You know, like that Homegrown song. I think Brett, you made a couple posts about it and just said it was great.
Feel it, baby.
You know, and so I think that just alone is the payoff for me when other artists respect what I do. And I want you to have that same respect because, man, you put together an amazing song.
I appreciate you, man. And I want to interject really quick that I have noticed since I started following you guys and I started like branching out into all these other different artists that you guys work with or that are just kind of in that reggae scene, that scene is so supportive of each other. Cause you're right. Like, you know, you got like Dale and the Z-Dub still post something and I'll, you know, like 35 minutes ago and I'll go on there and he's already got like 50 comments on there. People just saying whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, it's so great to see that because I'm not used to seeing stuff like that where everyone's just giving each other so much support and stuff. And man, that's such a great thing. So I appreciate you, you know, reaching out and saying that and what you just said right now. It means a lot.
It's one of the best songs, your original Lightningrod. It was one of the best songs of any project I've ever heard of any group in Ohio ever produce ever. Like, I think it's amazing. I really do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So yeah, so you hit me up and we're like, why don't we get a remix going or whatever, and I had Brad, my engineer in LA, send you over the stems and stuff. And then that was, this was probably like late August of last year, maybe. It was like right before fall or going in the fall or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
But anyway, so then you hit me back a few weeks later or whatever, and you gave me a call and you were like, I got, it's done. I got my verse on there or whatever, I love it. I want you to hear it. So I ended up listening to it after we had our conversation, because there's more to the conversation, but I listened to it and it was like the version that you had, like you took my instrument, my beat, chopped it up a little bit, did your own little spin on it, and then you added your verse, which I was like, yes. Like as soon as I heard it, just like, I love that it ends with the Marty McFly line going into the lightningrod. Like it was just like so good. So then before I listened to it, though, to continue our conversation, you were like, I love this a lot. I really like this, but I feel like it's missing something. Kind of had this like vision for it to be kind of more reggae, because the OG version is just a lot of drums and the bass is just kind of like doom, 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 doom. That's it, and then like there's little sprinkles of some reggae guitar in the hook and like throughout my rap verse. But you wanted it to feel more reggae. So you told me, you're like, yeah, I got this buddy. His name's Mellodose. He's incredible. He does all this, like, he gave me his background and everything. You're like, so I sent it to him. What do you think? And, he sent me back this other version. So I want you to listen to my version, then listen to his version. And his version is the one that we hear that's out right now. And I was like, holy shit. Like, not saying your version didn't make me say holy shit, because it did, but it was, the beat was completely different. You know what I mean? When I think of like a remix, I guess I'm always curious to hear how something will sound in a different type of genre. Because I guess I wouldn't have classified lightningrod as like a reggae genre, but this remix, I was like, oh my God. Like, I'm like, this is like how the song should be. I don't know, like how it always should have been. Like, Marco, you killed this. So like, what was it when like Shrub came to you and, brought this idea to you?
Yeah. So Jay and I had just finished production and mixing for another one of our collaborations, the Herbivore song that he had mentioned with Pumpin' Uglies. And he said, hey, like, if you want to keep grinding, I'm down. And like, I love making like as many songs as possible when I like working and the workflow smooth with people. So I was like, dude, 100%, let's start the next one. Like, let's do it. And so he's like, all right, I have this tune, it's a remix that I'm working on for my homie Zup. And so it's already kind of like chopped up and the stems are manipulated and there's some new elements in there. And then he sent it to me. And, the same reaction that Jay had hearing your voice and hearing like just the power and the story and the lyrics, like as soon as I turned it on, I was like, damn, like this dude can sing. And this is like a really like good storyline. Like the story was really fun. I could tell you went through it, I felt it. Like I felt the story. But something I love about like the overall vibe of the song is like, it feels like a celebration, even though it's like talking about all of this like nonsense that happened.
Right.
But it still feels like really happy and, like you're celebrating like the new chapter. It's just like, it makes you excited. The song makes you excited. But yeah, mainly the first thing I thought when I heard it, I was like, wow, this guy has a phenomenal voice. This hook is great. Like the lyrics are great. Like I'm watching a movie in my head. Like it just got me really excited. And then, really the version that we have isn't like a Mellodose remix version. I really feel like it's a combination of what you did, Jay, and with your producer, because there's still a lot of the elements that you guys performed and played and sent to me as stems that are all over the track. And I didn't know, because, I got the stems from Jay. I didn't know that the filtery skank guitar was originally from your session until I went and listened to the original. And I was like, oh man, I would have thought that Jay added those since it was already, the goal was to make it more reggae. But yeah, once I got the stems, I was really stoked on the song. I was really stoked on the lyrics and like the variety of flows that you both present. And it just kind of unfolded into a every section. Like I tried to map the music to the lyrics. So like when you rap faster, when you like change like rhythms from like eighth notes to like triplets or whatever it is, like I tried to have the music following the movie of like the vocals. And it was just really fun, man. It was like probably 2 days of working on it. Just obsessed with it, like probably 12-hour days as soon as I got it. And I was just like super hype on the song. And that's generally how I like to work. Like if I'm have the time and it lands like in this synchronicitous moment where I don't have anything else to work on, like just dive all in and obsessively work on it until it's done. And yeah, I love y'all's vocals. I love y'all's lyrics, and I think people are enjoying it.
Yeah, it's you guys did just an incredible job. And like I was saying with the bass line in the original song, because I just don't really think of it as a bass line. Like the bass line that you added to this new version, it's just like, that was like, once I heard that in my car, just felt like it was like grabbed me by my chest, and I was like, yes, it's just so good, dude. I just love that bass line. And there's just so many things that are sprinkled on it, and like you said with Jay, some of the stuff that he had on the original version that he mixed up, it was like some synth changes and
that
stuff.
Synth is so nasty. Whatever it is in the second half of the song is so sick.
It's so sick. So it just the collaboration between you guys is just like, it's so great, and it really makes the song stand out apart from the original song, where it's like, if you love the original song, it's still there. And then this is like just something, it just feels like a completely different thing, which is why, we decided to just name it Second Strike. Cause it's just, it's a remix, but it's not, it's like its own thing.
Right.
That's the thing too. Like the first, mix that I took and then sent it back to you. When I got done hearing it, I was like, this still sounds like the original song. I mean, yeah, I chopped it up and moved stuff around and worked with BJ. That's the producer you're talking about, Mellodose, BJ Davis at Sonic Lounge in Columbus. He's amazing. He's pretty much done almost the entire Shrub catalog with me. He's like really I call him like the second member of Shrub, to be honest. He's incredible.
You gotta love the day ones,
Yeah, he is day one. But when I was listening to it, I loved it. But of course, why did I love it? Well, because I love the original song. It's like, that's what I kept hearing. Like, well, of course, because it's so close. And then I was like, man, I just want this to be a reggae tune. It's screaming. This needs to be more reggae. And Marco was the perfect fit for it. And when he got as excited about it as I did when he first heard it, and then literally like he said, 2 days later, he's like, here it is. I'm like, wow, that's a hell of a turnaround time.
I was obsessed with it, dude. Like I heard it and I was like, oh man, this is super, super tight. And then I went and listened to the original a bunch, and like went to the gym and listened to Jay's version, listened to the original. And then I don't know if you guys are familiar with a song by Gregory Isaacs called Hard Drugs. Do you guys know that tune?
Of course.
So this song is the same chordal movement as that song. It's 1-4-5-4. And I listened to the Gregory Isaacs song a bunch. Gregory Isaacs is a Jamaican reggae artist who, is really renowned in his band as well, his studio band Roots Radix. And Hard Drugs has always been one of my favorite tunes. And as soon as I heard that wah guitar that is in your original, Brett, I was like, oh, this is like a hip hop Hard Drugs beat. And so I listened to your original, Jay's remix, and Hard Drugs on loop for like several hours and then worked on it.
Well, I'm glad you did, because man, what you came up with was so good.
Thanks,
so
brother.
Good. Yeah,
it was fun.
And to go back what you were saying about the writing process or whatever, I was actually going to touch on this, but you were absolutely right. Like this song was like a celebration of being away from this stuff, because I'm a big fan of when people take really dark times and like can make some light out of it or make it fun or whatever. And, anybody who's ever been controlled by a narcissistic person, it sucks. It's a really awful place to be. and you can never feel like you have any control over anything, you know. And I had a friend that kind of like reached out to me and was like, you should read this book. And the book was called How to Kill a Narcissist. And within the first, I did audiobook, within the first 5 minutes, I felt like that person had met the narcissistic people in my life, like met them and just wrote about them. Like I was like, oh my God. And at that point, I didn't even know, like now I feel like narcissism is a topic that's discussed a lot recently. But back then I was like, didn't even fully know what it was until I got that book. And I was like, oh my God. And that's actually where I got the line about the tornado, because it said like narcissistic people are like a tornado. Like no matter what you do, they keep sucking you back in. I was like, damn, that's so true. But I had another friend of mine was talking about somebody else that was a narcissist. And she was like, and that person's such a lightning rod. Like they just attract like drama everywhere. Wow. And I was like, I'm stealing that. You know, I was like, if I ever make music again, I'm writing a song about that. And here we are. So yeah,
that's
I'm just
cool.
like, I like taking things like that. And, you know, I didn't want to write a song and have it be like a sad, depressing song of like things that I felt like I was going through this dark time, feeling like I'm like in a cage all the time in my life. I was like, I'm out of it. Like you said, let's celebrate being out of it and make this a fun song that people can relate to. And also kind of like a middle finger to those people that might have treated them that way, you know, celebrate. Right. That's such a good way to say it. It's definitely a celebration song.
Yeah. It's cool when there's like that contrast in the story of a song where it's like darker, sadder, or more, you know, just tenuous time, and then the music's like really happy sounding. Like I think that's part of why people gravitate towards reggae music, is that it's, you know, historically and at its roots, it's music of people that are, you know, downtrodden and impoverished and who are, you know, struggling just to survive. And it's a combination of like survival music, but presented in a happy package. And then sometimes, you know, it's political music, but I think it's just like the energy of, it's almost like affirming that you're going to make it through by telling your story honestly, even if it's a dark one, but presenting it in the most positive like package that you can. It's like, hey, this is what I'm going through, but this is where I'm headed, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You can't ignore the rear view, you know?
Yeah. 100%. It's a part, everything that you go through is a part of, you know, who you are today.
Right. Exactly. And Jay, like, how was the writing experience for you on the songs? I mean, you just came out the gates killing it.
Well, I mean, I love the original song. I love what the story you were telling, and I can relate to it on a lot of levels. Listen, I'm not throwing anyone under the rug, but you know, or under the bus, I mean, but you know, you know, I've been in relationships in the past, one specifically where maybe even two, where I just felt like, you know, I was in your shoes, where I was dealing with a lightning rod. And I use that as inspiration too, because I'm at a celebration part of my life right now where, you know, I've got an amazing wife, where there's no drama, literally zero drama ever. And it just feels like, this is where I'm meant to be. But I lived through and forced myself to stay in a relationship for way too long where it just wasn't the right relationship. You know, maybe we're both lightning rods, you know, maybe it wasn't just her, maybe it was me too. Like we're just both attracting drama together and we just weren't the right fit. But I really used that as inspiration, because when I heard your song and while I'm sitting there hitting repeat in my car, bumping it around town, you know, I'm thinking about my past and thinking about what I went through and thinking about that same celebration. Like it does feel like a celebratory song. And so when I heard a couple lines that you talk about a succubus and, you know, there's some red flags, like some of those words like really jumped out at me, especially like where my verse comes in. Cause it was hard to find a place to put the verse, honestly, cause your song was so good and so concise and the story was so perfect. I love that
you came in right at the end of my verse. That was great. That was perfect.
Yeah, dude, you hit hard on it. I like it.
I didn't know where to put it. But yeah, I did think I felt like once I figured out where to put the verse and I figured out the length and what it should be, but I wanted to make sure I accentuated rather your story. and what you were saying and how I related to it. And I just kind of honed in on succubus and the red flags. And I was like, vampire. I just started thinking of this vampire, red, maybe blood. I don't know. I just started going in that direction. And I wrote it in like 5 minutes. It was literally just stream of thought. And I'm just going and going and thinking. And then at the end, the part about Marty McFly and Back to the Future, that's the celebration part. It's like, now we're going to the future. Like now it's like, we're past that. And this is what the outlook looks like. And I wanted to end on that note. And of course there's lightning, if you've ever seen Back to the Future, and there's lightning and how it plays into that part and taking that trip and that ride. I just really felt inspired right away when I first heard the song. And why I reached out to you is because I was like, oh man, I really want to lay a verse on this song because it's just so damn good. And
I'm glad you did.
It was just easy to write to because I can relate to what you went through, and because I went through something my own way that sounded very similar to me. So I do love this verse. I hope everyone else thinks it does you justice because you're so good. I hope it's good enough to fit in with what you put down because, I was scared to like send that out because I'm like, I hope it's good enough to like fit this song.
Oh, dude, like I said, the first time I heard it, it was just everything, like not even what you were saying, but the cadence of how you presented it too that's a very important thing. If you want to rap or whatever, even singing, finding like the right melody, it's like the same type of thing as how I look at it. Like your cadence as a rapper is like finding a really good melody as a singer. Your cadence was perfect. So many like repeatable lines and like catchy lines in your verse. You know what I mean? It's like you hit one and all of a sudden you hit another one on top of the beat, just riding with it too. Like you said, helping tell that story. Bass drops, things coming out. It all just flowed so great.
Yeah, and I think too, I always when I hear my verse on it, I think of that line about Time Bomb, where I'm like, tick, tick, boom, then then it's flat.
That bass just comes in.
Yeah, that big boom. I love that. But I think about Time Bomb and really, I know you're talking about like where you got inspiration for Lightning Rod and that, but Time Bomb is an iration song, and it's an album and a song, arguably one of their probably most popular songs they've ever had. But there was a time in my life where I used to go watch iration a lot with a lightning rod of mine in the past. And we used to see that band perform a lot. And there's a lot of memories there, good and bad. And when I started thinking about that relationship, I kept coming back to Time Bomb because when I would sit there in the audience and dance to Time Bomb with my ex-girlfriend, if you listen to the words of the song, it's like, oh, wow, man, tried to cut the wires. It's too late. Boom. Time bomb. It's like, uh-oh, this one's a bad one. Watch out, and,
right.
And again, not throwing her under the bus because I'm sure she's great for somebody, but just not great for me. And I really wanted to put Time Bomb in there as a little Easter egg to remember that time, real specific to me and real specific to Iration, that band. Because those are some of the memories that I like hold on to and during that time, especially just touring and playing shows with them as well. And not touring with them, but just playing individual shows randomly throughout the country with them at times. But yeah, little known fact, that's really an iration word. It is. Yeah.
I like that. And I guess I want to say this too. The vocals you added during the hook too were such a nice, addition. When that was, obviously the first thing I heard when you sent me the version, because the hook goes on before the verse, the rap verse. But that added so much more to that hook. Like when I listen to the original, I always hear you in the background.
Yeah, it's super subtle. It's super subtle, but yeah, I loved your original hook, and I wanted to add to it. And I thought there was a little bit of space there for like a little bit of a call and response, or just a little bit of subtle accent to it to help bring it about and establish it as the hook and have a memorable little tidbit to sing along to. So yeah, I'm glad you dug that too.
Oh yeah.
What do you say? You say you're a bolt of fire?
Yeah, you're a bolt of fire.
Headed down to earth, right?
Heading down to earth. Yeah.
Yes. I didn't know that was Jay saying that at first, because I do think like when two vocalists work well together, complement each other, they tend to, and this would be more on Jay's part, adopt like the timbre and like swag of the other singer on a particular song. And I honestly thought that was Brett for like a month after the song was finished. And then one day Jay told me that was him singing it. I had no idea who was singing it.
Well, that fits well and fits right in there. And like,
It's perfect is what I'm saying.
Like,
yeah. It's exactly perfect. It sounded like he originally wrote it that way.
And whose idea was it to chop up the first verse to kind of make it into 2 verses? So it's like,
it's all
Marco right there, man. I love that too, because that's another thing I enjoy about certain remixes to songs where it's not even like the full verse or the full song. They just take like a section that works really well. And, like I'm thinking of like an EDM remixes or something. They'll take one tiny section and loop it because that section works so well. I didn't even realize the first couple times I listened to it that you chopped it up. Like I remember I was like, wait, hold on. There is no hook in between this. I'm like, wait, I only had 2 verses. And then I like realized that it works so well with this remix because it spaces it out properly. Instead of just having one long verse hook, a long rap verse hook, it was just kind of like little tiny verse hook, little tiny verse, because the hook is so repetitive and catchy that just, like I said, spaces it out and makes that whole formula work so well.
Yeah, I love the hook. Like as soon as I heard it, I loved it. And, I was like, man, I want another hook in the song because it's like, I personally want to sing along to it again when I'm listening to it. And so really the main motivation was just, I loved the hook. I loved the melody. I thought your voice sounded so good on the hook. And I was like, I just need another one in there. And I assume if I feel this way, like as a listener, that other people are going to be like, oh, like I finally, like I got the hook. I learned it. I want to sing it like on the way out. And you need one more to like really, give them that satisfaction of, yeah, I got to sing along. And it was under 3.5 minutes. Let's listen again.
Right. Yep. That's the markings of a great producer right there, ladies and gentlemen.
I remember when Marco like sent it before he sent it, he's like, okay, I chopped up the beginning. I put this extra hook in there. And I was like, oh, and I had like demoitis all the time. I don't know if you guys get this, but like when you hear a song so many times over and over again, and that was like the original version and my remix, when you hear something new, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. I don't understand. It took me like 2 listens and I'm like, okay, yes. Yep. I get it.
Nice.
I get it. This is sweet. And I do understand it. The more I've listened to it since, it just, I don't want to hear it any other way than the way you did it, Marco. It's great. And I think people are going to love that about this. And that catchiness to that hook is just, it's developed even more. And it's just one more nugget that gets stuck in your brain and you want to keep hearing it over and over again. And I really think that is a crucial change that you had made that really just sets this song up in a completely different way. And now when I hear it, it's like one of my favorite things is that it's short and brief, and then you got the hook, and then it's like, yes, there it is again. It's like a little nugget that I can wait for, and it comes quickly, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, I feel like when you hear a song for the first time, it happens so fast, like it just like washes over you. And if you have at least 3 hooks in a song, 3 going back to the chorus, it's like if the hook is great, people will know it the 3rd time. If you only get 2 of them, I feel like they could know it, but you don't test whether or not they know it to see if they sing along the 3rd time. That's generally like a rule of thumb for me. I try to have 3 choruses in a song, however that's possible.
All right, I need to take some notes here because I know Mellodose is putting out great music, and I need to make sure I get
me too.
3 hooks.
That's it. That's the only rule. 3 hooks.
3 hooks under 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, under 3 minutes if you can.
It's crazy. Fun. When I was recording my album, like I said, it's been so long since I made music. My engineer, he's incredible. He's recorded for like Justin Bieber and Tiana Taylor, and he's done some really good stuff. So he's like honed into everything, and he was, we were talking about like the TikTok generation, about how everything is so short now, and you got to just like, people lose their focus so fast, and that a lot of these people are putting out songs that are like under 2 minutes, and I'm like, under 2 minutes, like how is that even a song? But like the songs that I were hearing, like I was glad they were under 2 minutes because they were trash. Like it was just like really bad rap, But like, yeah, like we, my girlfriend and I, we always had like 90s R&B on in the house and stuff. And those songs are like 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes. And I was like, now I'm conditioned to it where I'm like, how was I listening to this stuff back in the day? This is so long,
Yeah.
Like now I only, like you said, like a 3-minute song is perfect for me. As long as it does what it needs to do. Like, did you invoke emotion somehow? Where I'm big into stories. Could I see what you were talking about? Like, as long as you can do that with 3 minutes, if you could do it with 2 minutes, good for you. I can't, but I'm just saying, it's just crazy how everything's changed.
There's this R&B-esque J-Lo song from like maybe the late 90s, early 2000s that my wife loves. And we were listening to it one day on a road trip. And it was like 4.5 minutes. And I was like, by the end of it, I was like, yeah, this is a good song, but it's like long. But like, dude, they did the hook. I think it was like 6 or 7 times. So there was like 6 verses and 6 hooks. I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to know this after 6 to 7 of these, but I may have heard enough of it at the point.
Yeah, for sure.
It was impressive. I was like, whoa, 6 hooks.
I was thinking too, I was listening. Do you guys remember Soul for Real?
Mm-mm.
They were like they were a 90s like boy band, I guess, like just a 90s R&B group. They were like little kids, but that was the first like album I ever bought. It was called Candy Rain.
Oh,
anyways, I was listening to that. Yeah, it's so good. So I was listening to it recently, and like it's just funny that back then, they would have like a couple hooks, and then they'd have a dance break in the middle of the song, like just instrumentation that nothing really changed. There's no like solo guitar or anything like that. It's literally the same thing they've been singing on the entire time, but like for like a minute and a half, and then they go back into the hook again, and I'm like, we need to bring dance breaks back in music. I love it. I just love music.
Well, lightning rod third strike. Maybe we'll do that. We'll do
R&B remix, with a little dance break in the middle. I love it.
Maybe we'll get Soul for Real to do it.
Yeah, I mean, Oh man. Well, I appreciate you guys joining me. Is there anything you guys want to like touch on, talk about before we wrap it up?
Man, I just want to say thanks to both of you guys, dude. It's been a pleasure becoming friends with y'all and making music together, and I'm just really grateful to be a part of this release and in y'all's orbit. Jay, thanks for introducing me and Brett, and Brett, thanks for being open to just trying something new. I think this was a really fun and fruitful experience.
Agreed.
Yeah, I second all that. I mean, I've said it so many times in this podcast, but it's just been so much fun working on great music with great people, just in general. Marco, you and I talk about this all the time. Finding the right people to work with is like 90% of it, good people who are good, positive energy forces in your life. And Brett, from the get-go, dude, it's just been so much fun working with you. And I do believe so much in you. And what you're doing. And I can't wait till the next song, right? I always tell Marco that. What are we doing next? Yeah. And that's how I feel about you. Like, I can't wait to see what comes after, Lightning Rod Second Strike. What's the next one? So, great work and a great song. I mean, kudos to you on that. Marco and I are just kind of along for the ride,
Yeah, like, we love the tune.
Yeah, we just love it. So thank you.
No, thank you guys. That's what I was going to say. Like you guys are both killing it right now. Like you guys, I look at, you post all your numbers and everything. Like you guys legit are killing it out here. And it is tough in the streaming world in this new day and age with algorithms and all these things. And you guys are making a huge impact, and it's awesome to see. And it's mind blowing to me that you guys would want to take something that I did, who is not nearly as established as you guys are, and take that risk on me. And I really appreciate it. It means more than you'll ever know, because you guys don't owe me shit, and I appreciate it. It just means a lot to me. And like you said, I'm glad we can form some good friendships over this. And I'm always I can't wait for Friday to come to see if what you guys are dropping. If you guys are dropping something, it's just been awesome. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man. Collaboration is like the key to the universe. And I think great music is great music. So thank you for letting us be a part of this tune.
you guys want to know on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see, but the people that are listening at home, you guys want to shout out your socials and all that stuff. Shrub, if you want to start and just let people know what's maybe coming up for you too. And
Yeah. So, my tag is Shrub Music everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the above. You know them all. It's all Shrub Music. I'm going to try to keep putting out more music. After Lightning Rod comes out, I got another song called Try, Try, Try. It's coming out about a month after that, mid-April. It's just a solo song that I wrote. And I'm putting out with a couple musicians from Nashville, actually, Marco.
Oh, nice.
A couple great guys there. And
With Josh?
No. It's a guy that's in Mike Pinto band, actually, the drummer. I think we've talked about him before.
Yeah.
Right. It's a project with him or a song with him rather. And, really excited for that. But it's not really like a collab, right? I mean, he's the producer of the song, not necessarily like another artist, but I'm really excited for that song. And then after that, I'm going to try to put out a song called, D in the Mashed Potatoes. It's a song we play live a lot.
I've seen that on YouTube, actually.
we're gonna see how that goes. I'm excited for that. But
give the people what they want. I love it.
People want it in the mashed
They
want it. But yeah, just stay tuned for more new music. And I don't know about live shows or anything like that coming up. We're kind of just taking it easy. As you can see, the grays, I'm getting a little old for that, but it's fun when I do it, but man, my knees hurt when I'm done. I'm joking, but I'm not. But yeah, just keep making more music. That's my goal for 2024. And working on my playlist too. I'm really into the curating playlists. So
maybe I was up with Shrub performance. Maybe that's in the works.
Dude, anytime that you're playing a show and you want me to come up and do that verse from Lightning Rod, I will be wherever you're at. Because I think the song's incredible, and I want
that would be sick.
How about you, Marco? What do you got coming up in your social handles and all that?
Yeah, at Mellodose on everything. I think at Mellodose Music actually on YouTube, maybe. After this tune, we're dropping a tune with my buddies and Jay's buddies called Vibrite. They're out of Tennessee as well. Some really, really close friends of mine. We have a song coming out next Friday called Knee High. And after that, I got a record coming out with my homie Kurt from the band One Culture. That record comes out on April 5th. We've been working on that together for about 2 years now. And that's really the two big things is Knee High and then the One Culture Mellodose record.
Love it. Well, good, guys. I appreciate you again for joining this podcast and taking some time out just to talk about it and talk music. It's been great. And, once again, thanks for joining the song and doing the song with us and everything. It's everything. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you, brother.
Yep, and thank you to everybody that was watching or listening. This is the featured presentation, and we will see you next time.
You're addicted to the drama. You're a lightning